It is your planet. It's my planet. It's our planet. It's mostly my planet. I think that's how I did it. But on this planet, sometimes we screw up our own intros. But we just roll with it. Planet Hog, baby. Hello. Once again. You there. How art thou? Mm-hmm. A little sip of the Peroni. Well, I hope everybody's doing well, man. For those of you who do not know, man, I am the biggest Steven Seagal fan on this planet. Bar none. Bar none. This man is truly the most entertaining actor in Hollywood. I think you all are old enough. I mean, at least it's pretty recent in terms of pop culture fads, but the Chuck Norris craze, where everybody had Chuck facts, and they were always like these little goofy jokes, like Chuck Norris never blinks or some shit like that. Which, for whatever reason, started happening. I never understood why that came about. It was just all of a sudden happening. But anyway, I always thought people missed out on Steven Seagal, because imagine if all those Chuck Norris jokes that everybody said, just kind of joking around, just trying to, at a certain point, it just became a game of who could say the most ridiculous thing that could sound remotely plausible. And then the game got broken, and then it just became ridiculous shit. But imagine if all of those things were written down in a book, and Chuck Norris himself took it more seriously than anything in the world, in terms of it became his religion. He crafted his body, everything, how he carries himself, his personality, all around that. That's Steven Seagal. And that's how you can develop appreciation for movies where people do not lay a finger on this man. He will beat an entire cartel. Number one, by himself, but number two, without bleeding. Without so much as a smudge on his face, without so much of his hair out of place, which, well, I've heard things. I watched a scene in one of his movies where a man pulled a gun and shot at him from maybe, couldn't have been more than 2 feet. And in one motion, this man, who even all polished up, looks well in his 60s. This man sidesteps the draw, reaches down into the small of his back where his jeans are, pulls out a short sword, commonly carried in the year, I think that movie was 2013, draws the short sword. All this, by the way, he's wearing a very form-fitting leather jacket. Steven Seagal, form-fitting jeans. All in one motion here. Draws the sword and cuts the man's hand off at the wrist. This all happened in one motion. That's how you can appreciate movies where he's seducing women 40 years young, his junior. They're still in the field of play. And I'm not mad at that at all. And you know what? I'm not mad at his sex scenes either. You know why? because that's how you get sex scenes where the woman will strip naked and this man will still be there in that leather jacket, in those jeans, and his sunglasses, just laying in bed. And that's how he has sex. They just absorb his aura. I'm telling you, people are missing out by not watching Steven Seagal movies. They are absolutely the best thing going. Steven Seagal, I've never seen him. Now, look, I've seen a lot of Steven Seagal movies. I've never seen him get killed in any of his movies except one. And everyone's like, flying a fairy. No. Yes. Did he fall out of an airplane? Yes, he did. There's really a fuel transfer tube. They're not nearly that big, but fine. But you didn't actually see him die. Did you? You saw him fall out of the plane. You saw it. It looked bad. I'm not going to lie to you. It looked bad. I was worried. I thought he was going to die in this movie. But you never see him slam into the ground. So allow me to tell you actually how that movie ended. As he was descending perilously to the ground, Sensei Seagal grabbed two bald eagles by the talons and made a glider out of them. As he was descending at about the Himalayan region, he noticed a village being overrun by a militia. He drops in undetected, still wearing whatever the hell he was wearing in that movie. Snapped the necks of all of the men without any of them noticing. Had fully clothed sex with, well, no, that was the 90s. Okay, so he had regular sex with all of these women out there, reproducing an army of Indonesian Seagals. Realizing he was late, he sprinted approximately, look, stories vary depending upon your source, okay, but the consensus is 200,000 kilometers westward. From there, he witnessed a plane being hijacked on a small private airstrip. Why somebody would hijack that kind of a plane? I don't know. Don't ask these kinds of questions. He sprinted. Look. He sprinted. We're not going to make fun of how he runs. You would run that way too if there were... You understand that the spirit of every man he's killed in his movie, he absorbs. So anyway, he sprinted into this airfield. The plane's starting to take off. You know the scene. He crawls his way up through the landing gear, because you know that's what you do. He snapped the neck of this man flying this plane. I know he snaps a lot of necks. But this is a kinder, gentler Steven Seagal, where he doesn't break all of your finger bones and then punch you in the nuts. This is the Steven Seagal that just snaps your neck so you're just out. But you know, stories, they change depending upon who you hear them from. I'm telling to you how it was told to me. So anyway, he takes this plane, flies back home. Now, stories vary because, yes, you may or may not have heard him say at different times in all of his movies and in his TV shows, I was born here. And that place sometimes was Japan. That place sometimes was Hong Kong. That place sometimes was Louisiana. That place sometimes, I think, was even Appalachia. So we don't know. But he went home. So to whichever... As he's coming home, he noticed one of those jet boats taking out into the ocean, no doubt from a cartel of some sort, as they have befuddled the Coast Guard's best efforts to contain them. Using precise timing, he jumps out of the plane and ghost rode it straight into that boat, blew it up. But he's falling again. Yes, he is. What you didn't know is that his leather jacket can also double as a parachute. As he descended, he found the rarest flower on the rarest tree that grew in that area, plucked it, landed, tucked it all back in, walked up to the house, rang the doorbell, kissed his wife on the cheek, and said, "Happy anniversary, dear." That is fucking Steven Seagal, ladies and gentlemen. But I didn't come here to talk to you about that. I did not come here to talk to you about that. Baisho, Steven Seagal. I've elevated him. That is a title I've completely made up. It sounds Asian, so I know he'd appreciate it. And you almost have to grunt to say it right. Baisho. But that's Steven Seagal. Anyway, I'm here to talk to you today about America's new favorite game show. Gang show. Gang gang. You can call it America's next top hoodlum. People call people hoodlums anymore. I kind of like that. There was still some class to it. Like, it was definitely a derogatory term. Like, it's not something you want to, or I should say pejorative. It's not something you want to be called, but it was still refined. Hoodlum. And you'll notice the game show on your screen there, Pressure Luck. That was a near and dear one to my heart. I used to watch that in the afternoon sometimes during grade school. When I come home, my grandma would be there. And I'd watch some Pressure Luck before I had to go do homework. It was Pressure Luck, and then there was, what came on after that? Scrabble. Scrabble came on after that. So, anyway, the premise of this game show, for those of you who don't know, well, it's a basic game show. So what you see on the screen is usually a good indicator of what the game's all about. But you have this board, and on this board there's a cursor that races around. I think it's counterclockwise. It might be clockwise. I think it is clockwise. Why would it be counterclockwise? I don't know. So you have a buzzer, and then you hit it when you think it's in the square that you're trying to aim for. And that can be anything, money, prizes, but it can also be one of those little boogers on the screen called a whammy. You accrue, I think it's 3 whammies, and you're out. But whammies are bad. That's the gist of it. This is basically Wheel of Fortune. So, why is that up there? Well, I think it has something to do with what we're seeing in terms of all of these people. You know, I haven't really spoken on Ma'Khia Bryant, the girl in Columbus that got herself killed. And that's because after the riot in Philly, I started to notice this trend more blatantly. And then I just checked out of it because I'm not gonna play into it. But notice this pattern where you have a child, and the child is growing up in a pretty bad environment, bad situation, usually a bad household. And a lot of those households, by the way, since we're on the topic, only have one parent, and it's usually a mom. But yes, let's go ahead and destroy the nuclear family for the rest of us who managed to not live that way. So you'll have this child. Girl or boy, doesn't matter. I would say girl is probably a better probability, there's a higher probability that this child will be functional than a boy raised by a mom. And you see that in dealings with people now. You see that in LeBron James, for example. You see that in just about any athlete that was raised by a mom. T.O., he was a very emotional guy. Mom, grandmom. You never hear him talk about his dad. So you see this kind of emotional there's never a time where they move past getting caught up in the heat of the moment and putting their foot in their mouth. There's never a time where they move past childlike rage tantrums. There's never that time. So you have a child. They're not in the best home situation. Let's talk about, well, finances of the house are probably not very good. But their whole life, they're told that they're a victim. Their whole life, everything that they do wrong is somebody else's fault. It's the teacher's fault. It's the racist teacher's fault. It's the racist principal's fault. It's the school to prison pipeline's fault. Which I never understood that argument. The school to prison pipeline. Oh, you're just pushing our kids through and straight to jail. There's a direct link between school and jail. Then why are you sending your kids to school? If you genuinely believe that. Wouldn't that make you the worst parent of all time? And if there really was this overt system that wanted to destroy black people, why would they even employ the school? There was no elementary to Auschwitz pipeline. They just took them straight there. But anyway, and these are the kinds of nonsensical things that this child is raised around, and that suffices for logic and reasoning. So naturally, this child develops personality and character flaws and issues, and all children do, but most of them don't veer into the major flaws and major issue spectrum. And isn't it funny that these people usually are the ones that have like 6 kids, 5 kids, 4 kids, when they shouldn't have had one? But thanks to the whole goddamn eugenics thing that was brought about by who? Oh, the Democrat progressives in the 1920s, where they wanted to sterilize people. People have a nasty taste in their mouth about that conversation topic. So we can't have these kinds of people sterilized. But everybody knows these kinds of people should not reproduce under any circumstances. I mean, unless there's a human-sized hole that opens up and goes all the way down to the Earth's core and we just need to plug it, then yes, let these people have kids and plug away. We don't waste the good china. So anyway, then this kid inevitably becomes a burden on society, right? Because we're either ducking and dodging them in our day-to-day life, where certain people, grown adults that pay taxes, that worked hard, never committed a crime, don't go to certain places that they're well within their rights to go to because they don't want to run into your kids. And then the inevitable happens, where either they get caught up and become a victim of the lifestyle they're leading, or something a little bit more drastic happens and they get killed. In this case, this woman was shot by a cop. He told her to drop the knife. She came at the girl. He took a very good shot and dropped her ass. And she hit the ground. I thought for a second I was watching Keith Warren on the high road take down a black bear in Canada. You shouldn't. Yes, I should. Or should not. I did. Why? Because let's not forget what she was trying to do. Let's not forget what she was in the process of trying to do when she got killed, which was slash another human being with a knife. And then we get this sob story after they get killed from the family. She said she has so much life to live. Yes, she did, until she did something stupid that got her killed. Yes. But you know who will have life to live is the woman she was trying to kill, because thank God there was an officer there that had proper firearms training, at least adequate for the situation. She just enrolled in college. Uh-huh. State college. Yeah, they take everybody. What else you got? She wanted to be a surgeon. Okay, well, that doesn't explain trying to slash people open. I don't think that counts as work study. I don't know if you can walk into Yale holding someone else's spleen. I don't think that's how that works. We just miss her so much. That's bullshit too. Why is that bullshit? Because children that come from families that enjoy being around said children tend to produce children that don't go around slashing people. But we always hear that. Oh, just miss them so much. No, you didn't. When they were raised, they were a little bastard, quote unquote, to you. This annoying ass child. We've all heard it. And the facts just don't bear it out. That if this child came from a loving home, if all of these children that, had dreams, yes, we all do, they wouldn't be who they were. And you love to show the graduation picture. You don't like to show the mugshot. Which one was more recent? That's all I want to know. Stop showing me a baby picture. This motherfucker's 29. And that's the first thing I want to know with these people, too. Because they're going to show the most sentimental picture because the press has helped them scrub it. Their white liberal overlords have already begun dressing them up. We gotta hide your scars. Oh, this one will work. We'll put this one on. Okay, great. So when they picked a picture that they want everybody to remember, like the one of Breonna Taylor as a paramedic, even though she wasn't, I want to know how far away that was from the shooting. Now, in her case, I don't think it was that far away. But a lot of these cases, you'll see it on, if you don't, look, you don't believe me? Watch the blackest TV show out there right now, The First 48. Watch it. Watch the end of it. Watch the pictures they show. This motherfucker's 47 years old. You got a picture of him in the military at age, 28. All right, what happened those other... What's that? I shouldn't have used those numbers. I can't even remember what I said. 24 years, maybe. I don't know. 14. You get the point. What's going on? Just like in a resume, you can't show a job 10 years ago and then nothing in between and then apply now. They're going to be like, what the fuck did you do for 10 years? Oh, I was robbing bitches, putting guns to pregnant ladies' wombs, and now they got a monument for a motherfucker. Huh. Paid for by you and I and the woman he tried to rob. And that's called justice. So we play this game. I just hope that there's accountability. I hope there's accountability too. And you can start with making sure everybody else in your house has a good phonics program so we can knock out some of these speech problems. Aside from that, I think that there should be accountability. I think you should have to pay because you put this person into society. If I can't if I go to a Chinese restaurant, I won't because damn that flu. If I go to a Japanese restaurant and get some sushi and they give it to me to go and I'm driving down the street and I eat all that sushi and I toss that carton out on the highway, I'll get pulled over. And the officer will say, hey, dickhead, you're too big to be eating sushi. And I'll say, yeah, I know. He's like, but seriously, you can't put it there. You can't toss your trash out in the wind, out onto the grass. Why? Why can't I do that? It's society that made me do that. All of these nonsensical arguments. No. That is yours. You are in possession of it. You are in sole custody of it. It is your responsibility to dispatch and dispose of it properly. That part not carrying over, it is your child. It was your duty to introduce them to society the right way, to make them ready to join the rest of us. You failed in that. You have, on average, 18 years to do it. Oh, but I was a foster parent. You knew the job was dangerous when you took it. You knew what it was when you took it. If you don't think you can do it, don't step up. Don't make the problem worse if you can't handle it. So, but instead what we do is we do that and we make the rounds because now we're greasing up everybody. Now we're getting everybody nice and sentimental. We want to change the image. Because what's about to happen is what you didn't know is right at the time that your child breathed their last breath, a sound was made that only one man can hear. And that man's name is Ben Crump. A power he received from the almighty Jerry Curl, Al Sharpton. And at the second your child ceased to breathe, a signal was sent to him. Some say it hits him in his back pocket. And he arrives, and he's going to take your case, and he's going to tell everybody how terrible the world is, how unfair the system was that shot your daughter before she could slash someone. And what's going to happen next is you're going to get a massive cash infusion courtesy of this very society that you were depositing your waste into. And that's called justice. And let's talk about that really quickly, just a couple, right? Because when I first started this, I was like, well, some of these I'm not going to be able to pull up because they're still ongoing. But we remember Breonna Taylor, 12 million. That's from, and Ben Crump was there. George Floyd just got 27 million and the monument, Ben Crump. How about let's go back in the time machine? Remember where this all started? Hands up, don't shoot. Michael Brown, 1.5 million, Ben Crump. And then that made me go, well, you know what? When the Trayvon Martin thing happened, I was all Trayvon. I was like, I don't understand why a grown man would do this. Something's not making sense. But you know what? Now that I've seen this trend, now that I've seen the very sources of information that I used to trust, turn into just peddlers of lies and tabloid level scandals, might have to take another look at that one. But either way, he got 1 million plus. Ben Crump. And Jacob Blake. How about that young man, the one who's in the wheelchair now? Well, Ben Crump's on the case there, and you bet they're seeking money. I have attached the lawsuit as well as some of these other printouts in the description for you to peruse at your leisure. But that's the game. Ben Crump is the game show host. All you need to do is have a shitty kid. You have a shitty black kid. And then we get to press your luck. And maybe you get 1,000. Maybe you get 1 million. Maybe you get a monument. Maybe you get a whammy. George Floyd got a whammy. He died. But your family, they get the money. So all you have to do to enter this sweepstakes is be an irresponsible person? Yes. Your whole life? Yes. And then take that irresponsibility and combine it with homicidal tendencies? Yes. Huh. But what's the grand prize? Because there's one other slot on that wheel, on that board. What's the grand prize? What's the grand prize? Well, the grand prize is usually like a trip or something. But what's the grand prize in this? We haven't seen that yet, ladies and gentlemen. But my prediction is the grand prize is celebrity status. And it seems self-evident. It seems reductive. But we haven't actually seen a celebrity yet. But there is a dark horse. Partial pun intended, because they're black. We don't make those kinds of jokes here. But there is a dark horse. And his name is Jacob Blake. Because Jacob Blake is still alive. Unlike some of these other unfortunate contestants. All of them left with hefty paydays, though. Because you keep pressing your luck. You can keep going. So you can hit a couple thousand and say, I'm going to press my luck. That's why the game's called Press Your Luck. And the more you do it, eventually you hit that whammy. But anyway, why is Jacob Blake special? Because he's alive. Because he's already tweeted or talked to the sitting vice president. So all we really need to do now with Jacob Blake is we need to change his image. We need to drop those dreads. We need to kind of cover those tattoos up. We need to put you in some collared shirts. We need to soften you up. Okay. Then we do a couple of morning show interviews to show your more humane side. And then you cop to all the stuff you did, but it's because you're a victim of something, probably white supremacy. So then people feel sorry for you. Well, that's going to bring your detractors out, but don't worry, because for our next move, we're going to attach you to a noble cause, probably related to something that you've got to charge for. Donating to a battered woman's shelter. Donating part of your money that you got from your settlement. Don't worry, there's more coming. Trust us. So then after you donate, the people who are already soft are going to get softer. The people who don't like you, they're going to look like assholes because they're criticizing a man, and rightfully so. But the problem is that man had cunning people enough around him to tell him to donate to a charity, so now you look like a dick for criticizing a man that had a restraining order and was a woman beater. Got it. Well, now what? Oh, now it's all good from here. Now we wait. Now all we need to do is get co-signed by somebody with more social influence than you. We need somebody with celebrity status. Yeah, we had Kamala, but it was too early. It was too early in the process. If we can get somebody who's just prone to just tweeting things, if they believe in this woke crap, even better. Enter LeBron James. Enter anyone from the NBA or the NFL at this point. Shit. Enter anybody from Major League Baseball. Enter Cardi B. Enter any other entertainer or comedian. And then we can get you on a late show. And then you can tell some jokes and make the people laugh, and then they'll like you more. And then we're ready for Good Morning America and a motherfucking book deal. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of today's episode. I appreciate you all tuning in. It's kind of fucked up, huh? You just have a piece of shit and the game is on. Da-dun, 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 da-dun. Anyway, appreciate you guys tuning in, and I will catch you guys next time. Until then, peace.